director and founder of the Church Evangelism Institute, a ministry of the Billy Graham Center that's helped over 300 churches find their way toward becoming conversion communities. And that's what I want to talk about with you today. We've both worked with 300 churches, but we've also done a massive amount of research on churches across the country, surveyed 4,500 pastors, and also interviewed 60 of them who were really leading conversion communities. And then we talked to 60 previously unchurched people that had come to Christ in all those churches. So massive amount of research plus a lot of application in churches. And I just want to boil it all down and talk about how do you become a conversion community, even in a pandemic. I want to start with the story of Jerry, our neighbor of several years. We met him in the hall and waved at him and began to get to know him. It turned out he worked at a college just as I did, and it gave us something in common to start talking about. We invited he and his roommate over for appetizers, and then they invited us over for dinner, and we got into talking about relational struggles. And we didn't run out of things to say there. I had plenty of stuff to say, and Mary Kay, my wife, did about our marriage. They had lots to say about their different relationships. And but Jerry got intrigued by some of the things that we talked about, some of the ways we've dealt with our struggles in light of our faith. And so he asked us if he could meet with us. And we did. And I remember just after sharing struggles, we offered to pray for Jerry and had a precious time of prayer, short, but precious. And that caused him to be curious. My wife actually gave him a book that he took away on vacation that he read cover to cover and came back, and we started a book club to read some more books together. And just finished this week a book on the prodigal son parable that Jesus tells that's so powerful. And at the end of it, Jerry turned to us and he said, man, how can I come back to the Father? And we had this wonderful time of prayer for Jerry. He came back home to the Father, was reborn, felt cleansed and innocent, and surrendered his life. He just kept saying at the end, thy will be done, thy will be done. And I think all of us want more of that. Having a ringside seat in our church and in our lives to people whose lives are changing, to people who are coming to Christ. And that's basically what a conversion community is. I want to show you. So I'll just put that on the screen. I'll become little for a moment, but a conversion community is where changed lives and storytelling characterize the culture of a congregation. Stories like Jerry's just are happening all the time. In conversion communities, this is what we found from our research, leaders designate evangelism as one of the church's top 3 priorities for the long haul. It's not just an emphasis next year, it's a long haul core priority, not just in words, but in what they do, how they spend their money, how staff time gets used, how leaders operate. And then finally, a conversion community has 10% of the regular attendees who came to Christ in the last year. They're new believers, so that they're growing more through conversion than through transfer growth. Now, to become a conversion community, there's a number of challenges we face. 90% of the churches in America are not conversion communities. Only about 10% are. That's bad news because it means most of us have a long way to go. But it's good news because what we found is any church can get there. Another challenge is pastors are often consumed by running the church, leading the organization of the church. People are often turned inward and focused on their own needs. And everybody sort of feels like, well, that's somebody else's gift, evangelism. That's not my gift. And over time, a church loses hope that it could become a conversion community and regularly see people come to Christ. And COVID's given us opportunities. People are more receptive. They're connecting online like never before. But we can't get to the receptive people because we're practicing social distance. So what do we do? How do we keep becoming a conversion community even in the time of COVID-19? Well, our research, our work with churches gave us a path. And I want to share that path with you. It's a simple path right here. MI plus ML plus MC gives you a conversion community. It's the path of missional imagination plus missional leaders plus a missional congregation. If those three factors are at work in your church, you're going to be moving toward, or you will have already become, a conversion community. Missional imagination is an imagination to see Jesus, to love Jesus, to be creative about his mission, and to believe that people are receptive. That's the biggest missing piece often from missional imagination. I'm going to come back big. And after missional imagination is the missional leaders. And missional leaders just means that the leaders are witnesses. They don't think evangelism is somebody else's deal or gift. All the leaders, the worship leader, the small group director, the tech people, all of them know they are witnesses and they live it out. They reach the Jerrys of their lives. And they help their people, the teams they lead, to do that. And that takes, to develop missional leaders, it takes scripture and prayer and heart and some good tools and accountability. That's the biggest missing piece often in developing missional leaders. We don't keep leaders accountable to witness. They're accountable for getting numbers, they're accountable for building their small groups, but they often are not accountable for witness. And that's often what needs to be added. And then a missional congregation, what characterized those congregations is that they had a new paradigm, a paradigm of evangelism and engagement with their community that was relational, extensional, motivating, and doable. And that's often the missing piece, the doability. People just don't feel like they can do it. It's too hard. They got too many church events. They don't know the steps. They don't have the handles. That's often the biggest missing piece. And then coronavirus is just, we have to have greater imagination with how we connect with people. And what I found during this time is the people you already have trust with, or the people that show they trust you because they connected with you at their initiative online and in other ways, those are the people to drill down with. In a crisis, trust matters. Go deeper with the people with whom you have trust. So where does that leave us? Where would we want to say we can take some practical steps? That's what I want to end with. And I want to just suggest 3 simple practical steps. 1, to grow your missional imagination, you've got to get more vision for the harvest and how receptive people are. That's why I wrote the book, You Found Me. And I'd encourage you, if you want to grow your imagination, get it. Read it. Read it with a leadership team. You are going to get so much hope and optimism about the opportunities all around you. Secondly, how do you add accountability to what you're doing? And I want to just show you a quick tool there. And basically, what I want to say to you is that monthly check-ins with leaders, where you ask 3 simple questions. How's your passion for outreach this month? What's your temperature? Share a story of somebody that you talked with this month, had a spiritual conversation with this month. And finally, What are you going to do to raise your temperature next month? How are you going to bless people? We love the 5 missional bless practices we learned from our friend Dave Ferguson. Begin with prayer, listen, eat, serve, and story. Share your story and Jesus' story. Simple handles that you can check in with your leaders every single month. We have a tool called the Outreach Temperature Card, and you can get it on our website, CEIcohorts.com. Use that thing every month in a check-in time. 15 minutes is all it takes. It could change the culture of your church. And how do we increase doability? We just give people tools, handles, simple steps that they can take, like the blessed practices. These days, hospitality is the secret sauce of evangelism. How do we just help people in our church become more hospitable? I started with the story of Jerry. I want to end with the story of Constance, a church that 5 years ago was anything but a conversion community, about a 2% in new believers of their total attendance. Today, as they've pursued missional imagination, developing missional leaders, and getting their congregation to become more missional as a congregation, this last year they had 300 people make decisions for Christ. A lot of them stuck. They're at 20% new believers. That could happen for you. Don't you long for that?